welcome to Navigating the 9 to 5. My name is Tess, and today I am joined by a very exciting guest because it's another episode of Your Workplace Agony Aunt, and today we are solving the problem. I'm finding work really hard and really difficult. I can't progress, and I'm starting to check out what can I do. Welcome to the podcast, Kirsty, who is a, let me get this right, positioning expert and accredited transformational coach. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you so much, Tess. Honoured to be here, genuinely. So I do have a corporate background. I worked in advertising for a decade. So I feel like I can boldly be on this podcast and talk about the workplace very comfortably. And since then, I, left and through my 30s really found my expertise and my zone of genius. And I feel incredibly lucky to do that work. But similarly, I understand how difficult it is to find that, and that the more we're challenged and the more that we, push ourselves, the more we start to question and we start to worry about if we're in the right workplace, if we're in the right job, is this what we're supposed to do? Are we fulfilled? What is success? What's not success? We ask all the existential questions. We're 2 minutes in and we're going deep. So this is how it's going to be. And I, left and I trained with Animus, who are an ICF accredited school, and they are an incredible school to train with. So if you're thinking about coaching, I can highly recommend them. And I, originally did the thing of not just a coach, but I'm a coach now. And so I'll forget everything I did in the past because that's not relevant, right? I have this whole new thing I do now. And I realised that just was not going to work. And actually what people really need is somebody who can understand both, who has the background of, working in media and understanding messaging and positioning and being able to bring that into a coaching capacity. And actually there wasn't really many people doing that. And there definitely isn't in the UK. And so for me, I feel really lucky to have almost been at the forefront of this. I've been doing this work now, I would say, for 3 years, maybe more, just this work. Yeah. And I love it. And I work with people at all different levels, individuals and companies, people who have their own businesses, people who are employed. And it's super interesting. And I think the best thing about it is that it's so bespoke. So it's so challenging, but in the best way. And it keeps me on my toes, every day. So it's great.
Love this.
Yeah.
So the reason that I chose Kirsty for this episode is that when I was reading this problem, I basically kind of interpreted the answer to this as finding your zone of genius and then redesign your kind of working life from there. So if you're finding work really hard at the moment, finding it really difficult, feeling like you can't progress and you're starting to check out, in my mind, and I'm sure in Kirsty's, which is why she's here, the answer is to find your zone of genius and redesign from there. So this is what we're going to explore. So Kirsty, let's start simple. What does zone of genius mean to you?
So it's when you feel completely aligned in what you're doing and you're super passionate about that. And I think it's really important to remember that we're not passionate about everything 24/7. I'm not passionate about admin at all, or accounting, but it's part of what I do to be able to thrive in the job that I'm doing. And so I always like to say, it's not to mistake that you're going to feel completely fulfilled and happy 24/7 with what you're doing. That's unrealistic. But it's to feel like the work that you're doing is making a difference and it's aligned with what is important to you, what you're passionate about, and also what you're really talented at. Because don't forget that we all have these individual brilliant talents. I always like to say, and especially in a coaching space, we say you're whole and intelligent as you are already. And we're just going to enrich that by opening your perspective and creating these shifts that allow you to really thrive in the workplace and thrive in where you are. And once you're in your zone of genius, you find that even on the days that are hard, and there are many a hard day, whether you're working for someone or yourself, but you're still loving what you're doing because you couldn't picture yourself doing anything else. Yeah. And I think that moment when you feel like that, I could not picture myself doing anything else now apart from this work, and I love it.
I love that. I think one of the great tests for finding your zone of genius is something like thinking about the last time that you fully lost track of time.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Properly kind of in flow. And quite often with business owners, it's easier for us to find that time because we have crafted our business around our zone of genius and us finding that and stuff. But I think it's certainly, thinking back to when I was in the corporate world, I can't really remember any time that happened. So I think it's quite a good place to start. And if you're thinking about that and you can't think of anything, then I guess another question for you, Kirsty, if people are like, how the hell do I find my zone of genius? And if they've just realised that actually they've never lost track of time doing what they're doing, what are perhaps like a few sort of good questions that people can ask themselves to try and find it?
So I'm a super reflective person, and at the end of every month I reflect on everything before goal setting, and that's not to be cheesy, and I almost hate saying that, but it's to be realistic in what have I actually enjoyed and what have I not enjoyed. And if the balance is off, and if you're finding yourself, you're not enjoying the day-to-day, you're not enjoying who you're speaking to, you don't enjoy the way that you have to spend your days, then there's a real problem in that, and it's only going to get worse and worse and snowball. And so reflection has to be step one, because otherwise you don't know what you're looking for. You have to really be able to be a bit analytical. Like, I'm super type A, so spreadsheets, analytics, all my clients have spreadsheets. As a coach, I don't just turn up and go, hey, what do you want to talk about today? It's like, no, we have a system and we're working through that together. And again, you need to treat that and what you're doing as a business. Like, you are the one who's in control of your life. Whether you work for someone or not, you still are. You can still shape the way of where you want to go. And so reflection has to be kind of like the basis, and ask yourself some really deep questions. And I think don't do it alone. So I find that when I work in companies, I tend to work a lot with like tech and AI companies, which are quite male heavy. Yeah. And so when we're talking about the behavior within the company, it's almost like the men have never had these conversations. And that's a vast generalization. And I know so many people do. But as women, I think we openly talk to a lot of people, and we find support, and we ask these deep questions. And I think getting into the habit of finding people you can confide in work and outside of work can really help as well. And you definitely don't have to do it alone. Yeah,
love that. I really like your description of zone of genius. I write notes, by the way.
I love that. Thank you.
Aligned, passionate, important to you, like what your talents are. So during that reflection time, think about, like you say, what you enjoyed, say what you love, the things that you spent time doing. And like you say, the talent, so what it is that you're actually good at. Think back over, potentially your entire career, which in my case is quite a long time.
Same.
All the jobs that you've done, and all the bits of those jobs that you enjoyed, and all the bits of those jobs that you didn't enjoy. And like you say, it's not to say that, the next job or redesigning this role or whatever will be every single thing 100% that you enjoy.
Yes.
But I think I'm sure, I can't remember if I read this somewhere. I may have totally made this up, but it's like if 40% of your job is what you love, like that's enough for you to put up with some other shit. I can't remember if that's quite true. Actually, that doesn't sound like quite enough, but I think I read something like that.
Yeah, maybe it's 60-40. Maybe it was that way.
Maybe it's the other way around.
Yeah, I think as well, it's just you always get out what you put in, right? So if you are ignoring these questions, and because they make you feel uncomfortable or they make you feel stressed, and you can apply this to relationships or anything. You have to be able to ask deep questions and confront yourself, and almost hold a mirror up to yourself and think, a year from now, where do I want to be? And there are people that can help you, hint hint. But like, there are so many people out there who this is their expertise. So again, seeking out that guidance, or listening to podcasts, or if you don't have the means to invest in things, download all the podcasts and watch all the YouTube videos. It's all free. There's so much that you can do to try to find the information that can help you. But I think it's number one is being comfortable with asking deep questions, and not being afraid of what that comes out like, because it might change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah, I love that. And that's great advice, like to do it with someone else, even if it's just a friend, or if it's somebody who is professionally in that space. I wrote something last week around how if you're wondering why people have got ahead of you and they've suddenly like kind of stepped ahead massively, it's because they've had help to do it.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're feeling kind of like in a really, really difficult position now, then that is what's going on for them.
There's a guy who shared that on LinkedIn the other day called Richard Harpin. I don't know if you are connected with him or follow him, but he's a multi-billionaire. He's exited 4 businesses. He sold HomeServe. He's a northern guy. And he said the number one thing he wished he'd done earlier in his career is get a mentor.
Love that.
And the thing is, it's, there is, it can feel difficult to talk about coaching sometimes because of the way that maybe it's perceived and promoted on Instagram. But there are really intelligent people who do this work, and there are incredible mentors. And I've had some of the most amazing mentors, even in my professional life as well. Before I did this, I was very lucky to have incredible MDs and CEOs who shaped me into what I am. And I think that if you have the means, it shrinks time for you. Something that can take you 2 years, you can be done in 6 months. It's the best. Yeah.
And I think it pushes you as well, like you said, to go deeper than perhaps you would on your own, and only good things will come from that. It might feel a bit scary at the time, like what's coming out and what's coming out, but as long as you're working with a professional to help you, kind of see through, and you literally kind of hold your hand as you do it, there is only good things that come from it. Only
good things. And if you have a mentor that's like, because you hear lots of things, who's maybe putting you down or challenging you in that way, they know that that's not normal. I feel like people have had some sort of experiences that come to me where they're like, oh my God, you're actually being nice. I'm like, wait, what's happened before? Because that's not how it should be. There's brilliant people who just like want to see other people thrive. It's phenomenal. Yeah,
love that. So we talked about your zone of genius and fighting it and stuff. Was there a particular like pivotal moment for you in your career when you were like, oh, I know what I need to be doing now?
I think that my messaging was too watered down. And as someone who'd come from an advertising background, I recognised that. And it came from a place of knowing what I wanted to do and feeling like, am I confident enough to do it? Because I was pivoting away from talking about a lot of wellness sides, and I trained as a meditation teacher, and I used to teach meditation in companies, and obviously we don't like to say the C word, but COVID changed everything. And, this is kind of all before that. And I'd been working with corporates, for a decade. So that was very at the forefront of it when I was doing it. But I wanted to lean more into a mentoring side because I had a lot of experience. But to position yourself more as a mentor, it's results driven. You have to be sharing results constantly, which I have, a plethora of, and I can share them openly with anyone. And that's fine. And people can say great things about you and your work, but do you fundamentally believe it?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was doing some deep work around, I was always a worrisome child, and I probably still am now and carry that within me. And it was letting go of that and trying to realise that, no, you are actually really good at what you're doing, and it's okay to say that.
Yes.
And it's not egotistical to say that.
Yes.
And I'm from York. No, you're fine. I'm from Yorkshire, and we're quite humble, aren't we? And we just the next thing. Oh, we did really well today. We smashed that, right? Next job. Come on, love. Let's get going. And it was taking a moment to think, how are you going to show up online in a way that feels good? And so for me, I love storytelling, and I love creating content around the transformation, right? The story and the transformations I've been through and the journeys I've been on, which has not been linear, guys. If we connect on Instagram, you'll see. But I think that there is so much beauty in being quite messy and unpolished and raw and authentic. But you've got to be able to be confident enough to share that. And so I had to get to that stage. And when I did, I would say it was like 2023, and actually it coincides with me leaving London, weirdly, and everyone was like, you'll have no opportunities when you leave London, why are you moving back to the north? It was the best decision I made of my entire life. I am a true northern girl through and through. I'd lived in London for 17 years, and I came home, and it just brought me back to me. And so when I was sharing content, it felt so aligned, because I was creating content that I actually liked and I wanted to see, and I was in a place that made me happy. And so it all just kind of coincided. It's a really long answer. Sorry.
No, that's I love that answer, because it's kind of, it's just sort of so raw, so from the heart. And when we're talking about finding your zone of genius, I describe it as kind of what you love, what you're good at kind of thing being the main thing. But actually it's so much more than that. And what you've just talked about there is the kind of, it's a feeling that you get. It's much more than just like reflecting on some questions and stuff. It's so much deeper than that. And like you say, you kind of felt like you were coming home kind of thing. And there's so much emotion about it, because it's more than, like I say, just a couple of questions kind of thing.
And also you feel it in your gut. Like, like we are intuitive beings, and you know when you're sat in a situation or you're in a room and it's not the right room, or, you know, guys, let's be honest, you've sat across from a person that you think, this is not my person, this is not right. Like, I need to get out of this situation. And we intuitively know, and I think it's really important to listen to that gut feeling, but then also have the strategy and process around it of how you can create that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm just going to share really quickly how I kind of found my zone of genius. So, for regular listeners to the podcast, they'll probably know, but in very short, basically, I was kind of gunning for a promotion at work that was never meant for me. It was like the ever dangling carrot, which of course was my boss's fault, not mine. And then basically, it all culminated in a really difficult conversation that we had on a Friday afternoon in the midst of COVID. I was like in our spare bedroom in our house in Norfolk, whatever. And after I got off the phone, I cried for 3 days, and I was like, "Oh, that's not a normal response. Maybe I'm not okay." Anyway, various things. I got signed off from work for a couple of weeks, and I started working with a new manager and a coach, and it was absolutely amazing. And basically, my new manager and my coach kind of gave me permission to be like. And just asked me really simple questions like, do you even want this job kind of thing? And I was like, no, I actually don't. And it was such an epiphany. I couldn't, honestly, it sounds so ridiculous. I didn't realise I kind of had a choice over going for this job. It had been my sole focus for about 3 years, because I wasn't married, I didn't have children, you know, all that kind of stuff. And you make up all this societal constructs, don't you? In your mind?
Well.
Blah, blah, blah. And then, so with sort of permission from them, and the time off work, they were like, you know, think about what it is that you want at work. And basically I just kind of thought about what I love, what I'm good at, very much with their guidance, like you say, get help with their support. And then I realised where my zone of genius was. And then I thankfully had an amazing manager, and he basically enabled me to redesign my role around that. So I took obviously the promotion and everything off the table when I kind of was just going through this. And then literally within, I don't know, 6 months, less than a year kind of thing, everybody, I thrived. It was unreal, like how fast it happened, how aligned it felt. Like you say, it's so much of it is a feeling. And then I got a £16,000 pay rise off the back of it in a difficult year, and basically I kind of fast tracked a promotion and stuff without even trying. And this is what we're trying to say. Like, if you're finding work really hard at the moment, if it's feeling really difficult, and if you're feeling like you can't progress, then it's trying to tell you something, like something isn't right. Yeah,
again, but you were listening to the feeling, right? Yes. And your response to it that you recognised wasn't a normal response. So it's been able to be we don't want to be self-defeating, you know, we need to accept that actually, like, something's wrong, and that's okay that it's wrong, and it's not weakness, and now let's come back to it and find the power of it. I love that.
And I tell you what was really interesting as well, what was probably one of the hardest things was, like, I've spent 3 years of my life solely focused on this job, on this promotion, whatever. Like, I was like, what do I do? It was so weird. And there was so much we're not necessarily going to talk about identity, but my entire identity was in that job. And that was like, to have to kind of rebuild from there was really scary.
Well, that happens quite a lot. I worked with a client who was at Goldman Sachs actually, and then was leaving, and was, you know, we were unlearning the identity being affixed to the job title. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because actually who we are and our unique zone of genius is within us. It's not what we do. This is what I mean, like, it has to be linked to the why and the passion and the feelings.
I love that.
I
love what you're saying. So great advice, like intuition, just tune back in. If you're not feeling good, something, so like get curious about that.
But it's like, it's the same as when you're in a bad relationship and you can't sleep, or your cortisol's sky high, or you've got cortisol face, or you know, you're holding all the weight around your belly. Wonder why you're so stressed out. You know, it's these things happen and we listen to that. But when it's work, we seem to be, no, we've got to be strong, push on, masculine all the time. And we have to be comfortable with listening to it. And it's not meant to be woo woo, because I know this is like not the vibe, and I'm not that kind of like that, but I listen to what my body's telling me, like 100%. And it's never been wrong. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I tell you what, I am here for the woo woo, but also what I enjoy most about it is that woo woo isn't woo woo anymore. What you realise is that all the super successful people, all the people that probably, you know, while we're all on our own journeys, all of the ones that we look up to, they do some sort of weird woo-woo stuff. They just haven't been that honest about it up until now. Suddenly it's
exactly. Yeah. Well, Tony Robbins, for example, has his priming routine that he's had for years, cold plunging and his deep breathing and his shouting and all these things that he does, and now that's like normal. But when he was talking about it, people were like, I'm never going to do that. I'm like, you are and you will. So but you just, again, it's like finding your own thing that you enjoy doing, isn't it?
Oh, I love that. Talk to me about common barriers that you see people putting up when they're sort of trying to step into their zone of genius, especially when they're kind of unhappy at work. Are there sort of barriers and things that people put in the way, or excuses that people make? Well,
the main one is fear, and fear of judgment. And for someone coming through wholly as themselves, you know, there isn't an excuse. There isn't you don't have this thing over you like, oh, well, you know, if they put me in this role, I'd feel this way. You know, it's you have that defense around you. It's like, no, go, what do you want to do then? Tell us what you want to do. And it's like, oh, I don't know, like deer in the headlights syndrome, isn't it? Yeah. So I think when you take away like the comfort blanket, and people do feel fearful because they think, well, if I choose something wrong now, how's that going to reflect on me? But here's the thing, we are ever evolving. And I always say that I am forever a student. And as much as I am, you know, a mentor and very proud to do that work, I'm forever evolving and learning. And that's probably what makes me a better mentor, and you too, right? Is because I don't go, oh, well, I qualified for this 4 years ago, so I'm done. It's like, no. Right, no. I keep doing trainings and signing up to things and getting new mentors and trying different things, because it pushes you. And it's a similar if you're in a workplace. It's being fearful. I would like hold on to that and grasp that, and that's amazing, because that shows that you're passionate. Yeah. And it shows that whatever you're going to move into is going to be a challenge for you, and you're going to feel challenged, and the reward from feeling challenged is amazing.
Yes.
It's the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would just add on to a really interesting point that you made there, which is absolutely how I used to think about stuff. And I was like, oh my God, what if I do the wrong thing? Or like, everything used to be like really black and white for me. And I've worked quite a lot with my coach on this. I was really lucky to work with a brilliant woman. Before I knew you, Kirsty, otherwise I would definitely have been coming here.
Stop.
And I like to think now, and again, this is probably quite a woo-woo thing, but it's like, there is no such thing as a wrong decision, but we put so much emphasis on it, in that whatever decision you make at that particular time feels right. And I believe that there is a reason somewhere, somehow, that you were supposed to make that decision, whatever it is. Like, just don't overthink it. And that maybe by making that quote unquote wrong decision, you were, I don't know, supposed to learn something in the process, or supposed to kind of grow through that decision making. And actually, what I think is a really, really important point in leadership is, like, you know, everybody, again, this is quite a trendy thing to talk about now, isn't it, that you learn so much more from the quote unquote failures. So, you know, why be scared of making the wrong decision? Lean into it and just go for it and just see what the hell happens. Like, the worst thing you can do is indecision, because then you don't do anything.
Always regret what you do rather than what you didn't do. Like, imagine a life of not doing the stuff. I mean, guys, I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made in my life. It's actually a joke, like a full joke. But from all of them, you know, what's the gift? What's the lesson? What did I learn, and how did I evolve? And often, you know, going down what you think is the wrong path has led me to meet some of the best people in my life. You know, and we're so lucky as well that we can connect globally now. Let's just like, the opportunities are endless. I say this to people who are like, I can't find anyone to work with. I'm like, really? You're connected to the entire world. So like, let's think about that. Let's think in some way. But yeah, it's just, there's always a lesson and there's always a gift. And so be grateful for the hard times, because they are going to make you so much stronger.
I love that. Oh my God, if you take anything away from this, love that. Mic drop.
I'm done. See you later.
Yeah, you mentioned fear there. One of the things that certainly came up for me, and that I've come across with friends, clients, all sorts, is a resistance to change like this, which is around, oh, I've spent 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, whatever, doing X. How can I turn my back on that to do something totally different? What would your advice be for somebody who's feeling that right now?
Yeah, I get it, totally. So when I left, obviously I left after, it was 9 years working in media, and I left to go and work for myself, and it was super scary. But you know what I always think is that you learn so much through your life, and you're just leaving a place of work. You're not necessarily leaving what you're doing, and that, you can tie that into your next thing. And there are so many lessons that you learn from that. So if I hadn't have worked in what I was doing before, I wouldn't be able to do what I was doing now, even though this is years down the line that I've got to this space. And it depends on, again, what you value. So for me, one of my core values is freedom. And so working for someone 9 to 5 is just ain't going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's just not. But it's also, but not to say I don't work as much. I work differently though. So between sort of 3 and 5 p.m, I'm useless. I don't know what happens to me. It's like all the brain cells leave my entire body. And so I go on a dog walk, right? And I go, but then I'll work in my evenings. Whereas, I don't have the opportunity to properly switch off ever. So there's pros and cons to both, isn't there, in the way that you work. I'm fine working alone, but I had to unlearn that for a long time. I really thrived off being in this environment. And so I think that, I know it can feel scary if you've given 5-10 years into something, but imagine what you can create in the next 5 to 10 years if you're doing something that you're super passionate about and bringing all those lessons with you. And if you're staying in it, you're wanting to do something in a different company, you're probably going to bring some of those people with you. I'm just saying. You're probably going to do that as well. So you're going to have the best of both worlds.
You mentioned a couple of really interesting things there. So one thing that I think I completely underestimated starting my own business is just how important the basics that I have learned from the corporate world is, in the safety of the corporate world, and also I've only ever worked at really big company, so they have a huge infrastructure around training and all that kind of stuff. And actually I didn't really realize I was born at the time that I kind of had access to all this support through the companies, like you're saying, a lot of what you do supporting people within corporate. So if you're kind of going through this at the moment, then don't forget that you've probably got an amazing backing from all of the stuff that you've done, which you can absolutely take further. But B, there will be support probably and things available to you within your company. Shout out, if there isn't, come and chat.
yeah, exactly. Literally been doing that for 10 years.
She'll put it out for you. She'll build it for you.
Basically, yeah. And that's the thing. It's what's really interesting now, again, is that that's kind of the norm. Yeah. So, I have anything between a high investment for a company, which is a 6-week transformational coaching course where I take up to 20 people through that in a workplace, which became a syllabus within a really big tech company and is phenomenal. But similarly, do 1 day a month within a company or online where you have six sessions and you have an availability to speak to people. It's those moments that are so interesting. So from my perspective as a coach, they really push me because I don't know what I'm going to walk into when I'm dealing with a one-to-one client. I kind of know who they are. We've had the conversation. Sometimes someone brand new books in and I'm like, okay, let's go. What are we talking about? What do you need from me? But companies who do that and have the forefront of that, the return on investment is tenfold. It's why we get booked. It's why I've had repeat bookings for years, because of the way that we allow you to tap into something that maybe you don't see. And just shout out to the companies who do invest in that stuff, because you're really taking care of your employees and it makes such a difference to them.
Yes. My God. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
So, say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, so I've taken some time to reflect on, and I've identified my zone of genius.
Yeah.
And, you know, what's next? In my mind, there's probably sort of three options. The first one being, if it's sort of minor things, you can probably, and if you love the place that you're working at, like you've just said, if they're really good and they offer lots of, you know, support and opportunities for growth and all that sort of stuff, and lots of other things, then you might want to just sort of redesign your role as it is and stay there and kind of go hard into that. The second option usually is you want to stay in a kind of 9 to 5, but you perhaps don't want to work at that company,
Yeah.
change industry or company or whatever. And then the third potentially probably is to kind of set up your own thing. So what would your advice be for them, for someone, should we go all sort of all through all three of them?
Yeah.
This would be
Yeah.
like, okay, I've realised that I love the company that I'm working at. People are brilliant, got a great work wife, work husband, whatever. Want to stay there, but I want to tweak my job. How would I go about doing that?
Being super clear on what you want the outcome of that conversation to be.
Yeah.
Because if you go into it and they say to you, okay, you can have whatever you want, like, are you super clear that that's what you want? So I would spend definitely a bit of time thinking about what your ideal role could look like within the company, and also be really, you know, you're essentially pitching. Like, guys, pitching is my bread and butter, and every conversation you have is a pitch, right? And so you're going to have aligned with you what you want the outcome to be for that. But similarly, you are employed by a company, and so everything has to be linked to their ROI. And so by you moving into this space, how is that affecting them positively? How is that adding more of a return for them? And being able to quantify that with, you know, what would that mean within a team, for example? Does it mean you would have more of an investment into wellness, or you want to do these different things? It doesn't necessarily all have to be financial, but I think you need to find a way to quantify your ROI when you go to have that conversation.
Yeah, I love that. Clarity and commercials I've written down.
Girl, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We love alliteration.
The other thing I would add is that when you've done that work, kind of put it into a proposal, think like a leader and approach it like a leader.
Yeah.
So don't go to your manager with a problem like, I hate my job, I want to change it. Do this work, get clarity, like you said, over what your ideal job looks like. Link it back to the commercials, show that you've done the work behind it, you've thought like I said, like a leader, and then present to them a proposal and just have a really lovely, honest, open discussion. And, you know, there is nothing bad ever came from basically a conversation with your manager. All that happens is they get to know you even better. They get to support you even better because they know you better, and it opens up the lines of communication, which are just so important.
Yeah. And I think, like, how beautiful to know that someone who works within that company has put all that thought and care into that conversation as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's so respectful, and definitely, like, you know, the leader mentality, the CEO mindset will show that you're not just thinking about yourself, you're looking at the bigger picture. And I think that's what people want. Like, we want ambitious people within companies, but we don't want people to be treading over the next person to get there. It's like we all rise together, like we're all going together. Yeah
Totally. Okay, so that's option number one. So you found your zone of genius, realize you want to stay in your job. So clarity, commercials, and then courage. I found another C, courage to have a chat to your manager and speak to them. Love that.
Love it.
Okay, so option number 2 is you found your zone of genius, you realise that you want to stay within a 9 to 5 perhaps. And so again, one thing that perhaps we haven't talked about that might be sort of an added layer that you might want to think about is sort of life stage and phase that you're in at the moment. And like, again, you talked a little bit about values, like what's important for you right now, because there are times when the 9 to 5 is getting a really bad rep at the moment, but there are times when a stable paycheck is
it's great.
In some cases, you know, 6 weeks of paid holiday where you don't have to think about anything while you're off is a really good thing. And let's be honest, like paternity, maternity cover, some of the big companies are smashing it with that.
Absolutely.
There are times and place. So option 2, you want to stay in a 9 to 5, but you don't want to stay at the company you're at. What would your advice be for like next steps for that?
Yeah, just to like caveat before, I'm really pro the workplace, by the way. I love working with corporate for that reason. And I feel like when I work with them as a coach and mentor, I feel like an extension of their team. So otherwise I would never do this work working with companies. Like, why would I think it's Yeah, I agree. It gets a really bad rep, and actually, it's working out what's good for certain people and how they work. It is so important, and I miss the days of being able to switch off. Like this is not for everyone, and sometimes I think, gosh, this is a lot for me. But anyway, I'm in my zone of genius. It's fine. So. Yeah, if you find it and you're thinking, I don't want to stay at this company, this is such an amazing opportunity to think about, what company do I want to influence for the next 5 to 10 years? Because I'm going to bring all this with me. So what type of company, is it a B Corp company? Are you interested in? Is it fintech? Are you wanting to work more in the wellness space? Is sustainability important? Really think about what matters to you. Because if you get a role where you're working, and you are thriving in what you are meant to be doing in life, but that company's not aligned, you're still not going to enjoy it. Yes. It's still not going to work for you. So take the time to really research and, I'm sure you all know this, but like follow companies on LinkedIn and, set up Google alerts for like what they're doing and stuff, and, really start to understand what that company is doing and their core values and how you're going to add to that. And it will be such an enriching opportunity, working in your dream role that you want to do with your dream company. Guys, it doesn't get better than that, I don't think.
It does not. So I wrote down values for that one.
Values
for you, like what's important for you, like say innovation, sustainability, whatever. Thinking about like the reason that you're leaving this company. Is it a culture thing? Is it a growth thing? Is it, back to values and stuff? And actually, there's some really good like practical advice around following the companies on LinkedIn, interacting with them. Because actually, on the flip side, you might also find that you start interacting with these companies and you're like, oh, actually, I don't. Totally,
yeah. And I find it I try to follow them like on Instagram and TikTok as well. And it's really, that gives you a really good picture is all I can say, where you're like, this is mad. Like none of this is aligned in the slightest. Or some of them have got like the best sense of humor. You think culturally it'd be so much fun working there. And so, I think, I feel like that's such basic advice to give, but actually it can be like super interesting. Yeah, it's like almost like you get the behind the scenes.
I don't think that's basic at all. I think people would, certainly I've probably been guilty of this, like you do it so that you can say in an interview, oh yeah, of course I follow you, but you sort of forget that actually you can use it for incredible research to make sure that you actually want to be there. So it's as much to learn about them as it is to see if you fit and feel, like you say, come back to the word you said, if it feels aligned.
Well, I am the daughter of a retired detective, so let's just say
I didn't know that is so cool.
So it's in my blood, guys, so I can find out anything about anything for you, so come to me.
Oh my god, where were you in my youth when we were stalking boys?
I was great at that, trust me.
Just to clarify, like not actually stalking boys.
No, but like for me, like when I'm working with people one-to-one, for example, and we're working on perfecting their, the pitch, the zone of genius, whatever you want to call it, is a central nucleus for your life and your business, and you build everything else around that. We delve deep. Detective skills are needed, and it's we find out. I can find anyone running anything for you. You can't find an email, I can find it. Guaranteed.
I love it. We'll come back to pitch stuff in a minute. So I think that's really, again, something I'd like to explore a little bit more. We'll come back to that. So before we do, the third option, you found your zone of genius. You realise that you don't want to be in 9-to-5 employment. You're like Kirsty, free bird. You want to walk the dog in the afternoon. Maybe you want a bit more freedom and autonomy over your time. What would your advice be in terms of kind of next steps for that?
If you can, you need to invest in someone straight away to walk alongside with you. I did not for the longest time, and I do regret that. Like this guy, I didn't invest really one-to-one, obviously on another, but one-to-one I don't think for 2 years. And I think that impacted me. I think I should have done that from day one. And I think as well, try to start to build alongside your job. Don't go cold turkey. It's too much pressure on yourself and you will doubt yourself so much. Start to build alongside it. Have a year of savings if you can, so that within that first year you're not panicking. You can still be living like comfortably and pay yourself out your savings like you would. But I think for me, if it is possible for you to find the right mentor, and also, get on calls with like most mentors do like a 15-minute free call. Get on a call with them, find the right one for you. Don't feel pressured if someone's pressuring you into working with them, they're not the right fit for you. You know, it's got to be what's right for what you need, and you essentially want someone who's kind of, you know, 3 to 5 years ahead of where you want to be. That's the perfect thing really to look for somebody. I
think first and foremost, excellent advice, don't quit your job immediately.
No, please.
Tempting though that is,
very,
don't do that. It's really scary. Nothing good can come from that unless you, well, even with this, I was going to say, unless you know you've got a bank of clients that will come with you. But even then, what people say and what they do is very, very different. You know, you might have, you know, sort of verbal confirmation these people would come with you, and then actually when it gets to it, they don't, and that is really scary. Like, don't put yourself in that situation. I think your point around one-to-one investment is a really important one, but let's be perhaps what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of aware of people's kind of concerns over money and stuff. And we're not going to talk money mindset at the moment, because that's not what this conversation is about. Which, by the way, if that's the first thing that comes up to you, definitely need to work on your money mindset. But for anybody who's feeling like they do want to start their own thing, they would love the one-to-one support. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. My first thing, a couple of things that have really helped me is that I have joined a couple of communities, not free shit on Facebook. I did that and it was awful, and it's just
awful.
It's just people selling stuff. But also, don't be put off by that. But it does need investment, and if you're not sure what to invest in, I would start investing small. So I do one for £15 a month and one for like £35 a month, I think it is, and they're like entrepreneurial communities, and they're, I think, a really good way to surround yourself with people that think differently. Like if you were like me, I was in a 9-to-5 for 17 years. You know, I was fully indoctrinated. Everything and everyone around me was like 9-to-5 mentality, and that was really difficult to get out of. And one of the best things I've done is surround myself through these kind of communities and stuff. And
Totally.
You made around kind of mentorship. So some mentors can be free. Some mentors, you know, can be more of an investment. I totally agree with you. It's 100% a worthwhile investment. But if it's not feeling right for you at the moment, one of the things that you can do is kind of, like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, is just kind of reach out to the people that you would like to work with in the future and ask if there's anything that you can do for them in return. They talk a lot of, and again, a lot of stuff I've read and done is kind of a value exchange. If there's somebody that you admire, but you don't have the funds to invest at the moment, or, you know, you want to in the future kind of thing, just reach out and chat to them and, you know, have a conversation. But yeah, what other advice would you have?
I love that. Skill sharing is so good. I've done that for people, by the way. I've had skill sharing for people. I've had someone design a couple of things for me that were for the podcast that I just did not have time to do. And actually it was a really young girl and it was amazing. And she was incredible. So I'm like, people are always open to that, you know, as long as it's kind of, never ask someone, oh, my pet peeve, sorry if this, I don't know if it's going to offend anyone, can I pick your brain? No. No, you can't.
No, it's a hard no.
It's just a hard no. Like, no, if you come to me with something that is I might potentially need, of course, perfect. Like, I'm a generous person, but I don't know you, so why am I just gonna? And it's also disrespectful to your paying clients. You know, it's people pay for your time. I think that's really, really good advice. I think joining like networking, or like you can join memberships that are online that can be super, like, more affordable as well. I think it's really important to have everything built around like your vision, and so as you know what your vision and your values are, and so you will be able to quickly work out if that's the right environment for you or not. And you'll be able to work out if you're thriving in this place. And, you know, the only thing I will say slightly is where I live now is there's potentially not as much of that around, but I feel in a place in my life where I've had a lot of that when I was in London, and so I've kind of got like the support I need. Similarly, you'll be able to connect with different, you know, say for example you want to become a coach, different coaches online and connect with them and just like chat with them. Like I chat with people in my DMs loads, and I'm not always going, oh, do you want to get on a call? It's like we have a conversation around there. Like I loved when you posted that, by the way. It was super helpful to me. Thank you. I'm like, great, thank you for saying that. Like, how are you doing? I think when you find people who are reciprocal and, you know, open to wanting to help you, at the end of the day we do this work because we want to help people, then you can have build some really great bonds and relationships. And there's often, you know, remember, one-to-one's top tier, so people often have lower things that you can invest in as well. Yeah,
love that. Let's talk about pitch. So I think pitch is
right. Okay, ready.
Go on. So what's really interesting is that when I feel like that's a phrase I say all the time. What's really interesting?
It's fine.
It's all very interesting. What I realised is that I thought I only needed a pitch when I was a business owner, and actually what I realised is that, you know, I never really kind of worked out a pitch for me when I was in corporate, because I just went by my title kind of thing, but actually that doesn't really explain stuff. So yeah, talk to us about pitching and why it's important for, like, regardless of sort of which of these three paths you might take.
Yeah, I mean, it's so super relevant because it enables you to see where you are and where you want to go, whatever trajectory you're on, and it's the central nucleus for your life and your business. So for people who are self-employed, every conversation you have is a pitch. Every opportunity you have to be around different people. So I used to be, well, actually only till very recently, I used to be have a membership to a private members club, whatever, in London. And it was amazing in terms of working there and sitting with people and seeing how people talked about what they do when they don't work for a company. And it was phenomenal to recognise who has nailed pitching and who fumbles over the words when they're talking about what they do. And the thing is, if you can't own what you do and say it boldly, and I had to learn that as well, like that was part of the process to say, no, I am a mentor and I am strong enough to mentor people and have enough experience, then that's a really and to call myself an expert at something, that took time. But I have a central master pitch, I call it. And when it's a working document that I have, and I'm constantly adding to it and evolving with it. And that pitch has been with me for 3 years. And so if anybody says to me, oh, can you send me, it's straight out and it's completely up to date. And it influences every single thing I work on, from my marketing strategy to my comms, to my social media, to things I'm focusing on, to the clients that I'm bringing in, to the opportunities that are going to be ahead of me and what my focus is going to be like for the next year. And I wish I had that when I was in the workplace. Because I would have understood my vision more and my reason for working there. I didn't, and we weren't taught that then. You know, that was a long time ago now. So for anyone who's within a business, it's your purpose, it's your vision. It's so important.
So can you give us like 3 tips kind of thing of how you craft your pitch?
Okay, number 1 has to be, like I've said this, I'm sorry guys, just call it vision, the vision podcast now. Okay. It has to be your overarching vision for why you do something and why you want to do it. And you have to be able to, on your bad days, can you swear on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
On your shit days, I feel like it has more like...
Oh, I thought you were going to go with an F-bomb. I mean,
oh,
C-bomb.
No, I would never. I would never. On your shit days, and you will have them, you always come back to your vision, and you know that, okay, today has been... I have had some days that I would never like to repeat in my life, but I've always stepped back and the next day picked myself up and gone, well, okay, this is what I'm working towards, this is my vision. So within the pitch, it's, you know, the mission statement, whatever you want to call it, the vision, that has to be there. Your why has to be there, okay? Now, you have to be able to speak about yourself really boldly and not be afraid of it. And it's not egotistical. And you have to, especially women, guys, we're too humble. We don't shout about ourselves like the men do. You know, we need to boldly say, I have done all these things. I have X amount of years of experience. I am an expert in this field. I will shout about myself and talk about myself like that. So that is super important to be able to have, like, I guess you call it like the about me bit, but it's not. It's like, what are you brilliant at? What do you thrive in? And then results. Like, what's your social proof? What's the proof that you can do it?
Love that.
And I work with one, and actually this is a guy who I used to work with years and years ago did this. And in the back of his notebook, he used to write down all of his achievements.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so I've always done that, and I really influence my one-to-one clients to do that by, in the back of your notebook, whatever you work at, like, I need to get a better name for it. I call it like a done list rather than a to-do list. But everything you've achieved, keep a note of that and keep a record of that, because you won't remember it. And when you look back at that list, and if you ever have self-doubt creep in because, you know, life, you look at that and you think, actually, this is everything I've done and everything I've achieved, and it is phenomenal, and I'm going to shout about it.
Yeah. So important wherever you work. Really, a really good tip actually, if you are in the corporate world and you're heading towards an end of year review.
Yeah.
To go back to your list
Get
of all the things
that there. Yeah, exactly.
You've also just reminded me, I saw something the other day where, I can't remember what group it was on, or something on Instagram, I think, and I love this, you might want to take this. She was like, instead of a to-do list, I have a ta-da list when I've done it. Ta-da!
Stop.
Yeah.
That's a better name. This is what I mean. Like, the name was terrible that I had. This is great.
And I was like, oh yeah, I love that.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Brill. So where are we? Vision, what you're brilliant at, and your results for your pitch.
Yeah.
Love this. And this is important whether you're in the corporate world, in the 9 to 5, whether, like, whatever it is that you do actually, in order to be able to kind of sell and position yourself, kind of thing. And I think, you know, as well, you know, you're not going to be in this job, or your business isn't going to look like this forever. So, you know, it's important to kind of think about the next step as well. So you might be sort of in a 9 to 5 now, be like, oh, I don't need a pitch because I'm happy in my job. But, you know, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. So
literally,
you know, why not start now?
And also, it gives you a bit of a boost, I think, when I go into mine and I edit it and I see all the things that I'm doing, and I've got more testimonials that come through, and I've landed a new company, and I'm on a new retainer with a company, or these are things to shout about and be really proud of, because it's just me. I'm a company of one, and, like, you know, a part-time VA or whatever, but it's me really, and I think that I'm super proud of that, you know, super proud of that work. And some of these companies I work for are huge. And so I'm going to shout about it, like, boldly. I will shout about it now.
I think this is from you, actually. So my what's it called? My screensaver on my laptop is reminders, and it literally says, and I'm sure it's from you. It might have been from your podcast, which we will link to in the show notes, because it's amazing. Called Pitch Please, absolutely brilliant. And it literally says, be bold, be courageous, be excited, be magnetic, be focused. And I'm sure that's something from you.
I don't know.
You've shared
Maybe I've shared it, probably.
Hashtag influence.
Stop.
But it's just such a good reminder to kind of, especially as women, like, there are all genders into this, but for us women, I think it's really important to talk about. Yeah. There are going to be certain times of the month, for example, when you're going to feel more confident about bragging and shouting about yourself, and certain times of the month where you're going to feel a whole lot less confident.
Yep, I'm here with that for that ride. 100%. It's great. It's the best.
It's really important to recognise that, and that is totally normal.
I have my mantra that you can keep, which is, and I say this, I think it's on my podcast, which is, I have unique and valuable things to say.
Oh, I love
And I always remember that. And to everybody who's doing this work, I have unique and valuable things to say. And so I am going to say them. No one else can say it like I say it.
I love that. I have unique and valuable things to say. That's going to become one of my morning affirmations.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
In fact, I might add it to my screensaver.
Perfect. Yes, please do.
I love that. Oh, Kirsty, we've covered so much. So back to the question. I'm finding work really hard and really difficult. I can't progress, and I'm starting to check out what can I do. We've covered quite a lot of ground. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you think is really relevant or super valuable for people to do if they're feeling like this at the moment?
Just know that it's normal to feel like that as well. I think that what we see we see all with the finished products all the time on social media, don't we? And it's really interesting because I'm friends with some quite big coaches in the coaching space now, just because, like, for years we've known each other. And I know the behind the scenes, and I see what they post online, and I'm like, miles off it. So whatever you're seeing, don't compare yourself to that. And you know, behind it, you're not seeing the struggles and the sacrifice and the working hours and the tears and the self-doubt and the self-deprecation. You're not privy to all of that information. You only see the finished product, and it can be really toxic if you hyperfixate on that. So just always remember that, you know, you're doing so much better than you think you are, and everybody's not doing as well as you think they are. So
it's the same, what's the word, adage, isn't it? You know, everyone you see the highlight reel, you don't see
always
the reality. That's why it's not comparing your reality to their highlight reel.
Exactly, that's the one. Yeah. we got there. Yeah. We're like an hour in, we're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And I did note when you said that actually between 3 and 5 o'clock you switch off. And
I saw you look. No, I saw when I said that. I saw you look at the time. No, not this when I'm in a conversation, but like me on my own at home. I'm like.
I was going to say, mate, I think you're doing really well. Actually.
No, it's fine. This is fine. And like if I have a client, that's fine. But it's more if it's just me on my own. There's no, I can't function.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So what, autonomy over your time.
Yeah.
So for me, having spent 17 years in the corporate world, when I first went out for a walk at like 11 o'clock in the morning, I was like,
the guilt.
Oh my God,
the guilt.
Loads of rules. What
the
am I
guilt.
doing? Yeah.
I still sometimes feel like that if I'm not at my desk at 9, and sometimes if I've gone to like done a long dog walk and the gym and I'm getting ready, sometimes it's like 9:30 and I'm like that's actually fine. Like
I'm late.
It's fine.
Like, no, I'm not. What for?
late for what? Like it is a lot of unlearning, and it's a lot of but we get there. It's fine.
Unlearning. That is the thing. Right, I'm gonna reread through some of my notes. So if you're finding work really hard, really difficult, you can't progress, sit down, take some time, reflect on all the questions, get some help if you can, whether that's through a mate or a mentor or a coach who's kind of been there before. Think about what's aligned, what you feel passionately about, what's important to you, what you're good at, strengths, experience, all that sort of stuff, what you've enjoyed kind of, you know, more recently, but also kind of further previously as well, previous roles and things. Intuition and unlearning I've kind of underlined about times, both of those. Just tune back in if it doesn't feel good. There's it's trying to tell you something. Potentially if you do this, a load of fear is going to come up. If it does, go for it. Clarity, commercials, courage.
I love this.
And then if you want to stay in the current company, if you want to go to a different company, think about a lot around values. And obviously if you want to start your own, think about support and help that can get you there. So either a one-to-one investment or a mentor or other kind of groups and things that can support you. And nail your pitch, which is all about your vision, what you're bringing to and your results. And do a ta-da list.
The ta-da list is everything. It's better than my done list. I'm so Yorkshire. Like, we'll do a done list. Yeah. But I really highly recommend people download my podcast as well. So it's a secret 5-part private podcast called She's in Her Pitch Era. And it's an hour collectively, isn't it? I think about an hour altogether with these 5 episodes. Tess actually was so kind about it and literally messaged me, didn't you, to say, I was like, I can't not tell you like that you've given all this information away for free. And so guys, we can leave the link below, but it's, if you're thinking you don't know where to start with this, I've done it into the 5 sections that I believe are the most powerful to help you move forwards.
It is amazing. Like I said, we'll link it in the show notes.
Thank you.
I highly recommend you go. I was going to say watch it, but no, listen.
No, there's no watching, guys. Sorry.
Brill. Apart from that, Kirsty, how and where can we find you?
I'm in all of the places, guys. At all of them. At Kirsty Raynor on Instagram, TikTok, Jesus. LinkedIn. Come and connect with me anywhere. Come and say hi. Never any pressure. I love the chats. So yeah. Great. I've loved this so much. Thank you, Tess, for having me on. Honestly, you're doing such good work.
Thanks, my love. I'll definitely leave that in.
Yeah, that's staying. Yeah, perfect. Oh, amazing.
All I have to say is thank you, Kirsty, so much for being here.
Thank you.
I so enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to you guys at home, I guess. I don't know, I feel like it's such as presenter.
Where are you?
I feel like a Blue Peter presenter. Thank you for listening, watching, I was going to say reading, no, listening or watching wherever you are. If you could like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, that would really do me a favour. But yeah, all that's left to say is thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
If you want to get promoted at work this year, I've got just the thing for you. Whether it's a promotion or a pay rise, whatever it is, if you want to end the year on a high, you need my 30-day free career coaching program. 30 days, 30 emails, 30 short, sharp hacks, which come from my 6-step method to help you take back control and redesign a working life that lights you up. We start with you, we find your zone of genius, and then we go all the way through to some leadership capabilities, some mindset stuff, and we hack our way through so that by the end of it, you've got a toolbox to help you actually get promoted at work. And we even do a live visibility sprint in there. So if that's what you want, if you want to get a promotion at the end of the year, if you want to get a pay rise, whatever it is, you need to join this. So check out the resources at lightmeup.club/free resources. The link's in the show notes as well to have a look. And yeah, I really hope to see you there.